Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secure Team. So what I want to talk about today, I decided to just make a single video about this one topic. Aside from the main video that I'm also working on, I wanted to do this video as a standalone, basically because of the subject matter, which, suffice it to say, is likely going to get the video demonetized fairly quickly. I would be very surprised if it doesn't. However, this is a very important topic, it's very mysterious, and it's something that we've discussed time and time again on the channel, which is that, well, if you saw from the title, something is happening to the livestock on planet Earth, specifically cows, but it's not, only cows. It's happened to sheep, horses, dogs, cats, pretty much every animal you can think of, but it seems that cows are the #1 animal that this phenomenon is occurring around. And this phenomenon has been happening for the better part of 60 to 70 years, all the way back to the 1960s, or at least that's the first time that we started hearing documented reports of it happening. And well, what am I talking about? Well, aside from cows just completely vanishing, some would say being abducted from the ranches with which they've lived on for, in some cases, years, just vanishing off the face of the earth, it would seem. But mainly cows that have been found mutilated. And not just that, but in a way that has been described time and time again as extremely surgical and precise. Now, what do I mean by surgical? Well, just the way it sounds, in that for 60 to 70 years now, farmers have been waking up, going outside to find their livestock no longer living. And upon closer inspection, in many of these cases, these cattle will be missing some very strange parts of their bodies, such as ears, lips, eyes, noses, and other areas removed with this so-called surgical precision. And we are talking thousands upon thousands of reports, guys. The FBI at one point even got involved, attempting to figure out what was happening. Because not only were these certain strange parts that I just listed off removed, but again, they were done so with surgical precision. Something that has been described as something or someone that had used what you could only say were surgical grade tools, something like you would find in a hospital. Either that or lasers, or some sort of razor sharp apparatus that had the ability to cut into these cattle with this surgical precision, straight lines, straight cuts, clean cuts, and in many cases also with no bleeding to be found. A lot of these cattle will have been found completely drained. Small surgical holes found on certain parts of their body where it's theorized that this draining occurred. I mean, this is totally something, when you've read these reports, it really does seem like something not here on Earth, basically. It's like an off-world phenomenon, because you look at these reports and you see that this is not the work of some satanic cult, coming out of the mountains to do some strange ritual. This is something totally different. And it's not only happening with cattle. There's another video you guys might want to go and check out after this one. I posted this video maybe a couple of years ago, and it's actually one of the most disturbing topics I've ever done a video on, and I do think even that video was eventually restricted by YouTube. But I believe the title of that video was "The Most Disturbing Case of Alien Abduction Ever," or something along those lines. I'll put the link to it down below, where a human was found with very similar surgical incisions to what we are talking about here, and it truly was disturbing, truly was something out of this world. And so you guys can watch that if you want. I'll put the link to it down below. So it's happening to humans as well. And so back to what we were saying, how even the FBI started investigating this, but they came up with nothing. Mainly due to lack of evidence, jurisdictional problems, but mainly due to the fact that they'd never seen anything like this before, and there's nothing to base it off of, nothing that could easily explain it. And so cattle mutilation and abduction has been a staple in the UFO and alien phenomenon for years now. It's one of the more grim sides of this topic. It's not all really cool stuff. You know, a lot of the stuff we talk about is real cool, really cool UFO footage, but there's also a grim side, and this is one of those areas. And so you guys can do the research yourself, you know, on these cattle abductions and things of that nature, but it seems to have been continuing. And we have a new report here out of Australia, where again, these cows were found with their udders, their ears, and their tongues having been surgically removed. The article here states, a North Queensland couple has been left baffled by a bizarre finding on their property which seems like something straight out of a horror film. Mick and Judy Cook were working on their property in Cloverleigh, northwest of Mackay, when Mr. Cook noticed a cow carcass which appeared to have its entire udder, ears, and tongue removed. Mr. Cook stated, quote, "It was like it had been surgically removed. I certainly couldn't do as neat of a job with a very sharp knife, and it definitely wasn't an animal. And there was no blood. Even where the parts had been removed, no sign of blood or a struggle. There was just no reason or rhyme for it to be done the way it was done. People don't use those parts. It's just not something that you would wish on your worst enemy." On the same trip, Mr. Cook said that he traveled a little further down on his property, about an hour's drive from his house on rough terrain, where he found yet another one of these cows. Only this one, he said, seemed to, or looked as if it had been there for quite a while. And here's yet another kicker, which is, it links to some of these other reports, which is that in this particular case, and the man stated it here in the article, which was that he was around 2 hours away from his nearest neighbor, and that it was a very mountainous country, and that there was no way anyone could get there unless they come straight past this person's house, which he said he didn't obviously see. So 2 hours away from the nearest human being that could have done this. Now, a local veterinarian said that in his 40 years of working in the industry, often with livestock, he had never heard of or seen anything like this. Oddly enough, this is not the first time that this has happened to this family. They describe in the report it about 10 years earlier, they found similar cows with their udders removed and other things. But at the time, they said they didn't think much about it, and they didn't say anything about it. That is until this happened, and they started researching it, and found that there were similar cases of this happening going all the way back to 1975 in the area. And obviously it's been happening a ton over here in America, and I'm sure in other countries. Now, of course, some of you may be saying, well, animals such as vultures, Tasmanian devils, and coyotes, they normally eat soft tissue. And that could maybe explain why parts of the mouth, the tongue, the eyes, and such of that nature were missing. However, normally you can tell if something has been picked at by one of these animals. And as far as I know, none of these animals are carrying around surgical grade blades or lasers that are able to literally cut squares, perfect squares or triangles or circles into these animals. Nor are they able to make them vanish completely off of the face of the earth with no trace. And that is why this is so mysterious. So, again, I know this is a grim topic, but it's a part of this phenomenon. Like it, love it, hate it. It's a part of this strange, mysterious phenomena that we've been talking about on this channel for years now. And I guess I'd like to ask any of you, I'm sure we have some ranchers out there, I'm sure we could find some stories of some other strange things like this, instances like this where this has happened to livestock. Again, it's happened to other animals as well. Many people believe that this is an off-world phenomena. Something is coming and taking these cows, or taking parts of the cows, using machinery or an apparatus, the likes of which we've never seen here on Earth. And I honestly, after everything I've seen and the reports I've read, I think that there's a great deal of truth in that theory. And let's not forget the fact that thousands upon thousands of humans go missing off the face of the Earth every single year, where there is zero trace of them ever again. And it is extremely eerie, to say the least. So, with that, I will post the link to this report down below. Go and check out that other video if you guys like. This is one of the most disturbing facets of this phenomena that I've ever reported on, researched, and I think many of you will agree. So I'm going to get back to work. Thank you all for stopping by. I have a main video coming out. I'm going to try to get it up within the next few hours. I'll post updates to Twitter and Facebook, so stay tuned, stay safe, and I'll see you guys back in just a bit.